Home sweet home.
Yeah, home sweet home.
Home sweet home. Back in Archie.
Nice long trip.
You know, if someone would have told me you're going to wind up in Conway, Arkansas, and you're going to meet a guy named Richard Neal over in Morrilton,
Redneck
and he's
Undertaker.
going to be into the funeral business, and he makes cool cars, and you're going to need your Munster Koach finished. This was like, God works in strange ways. That's all I can say.
You would have laughed at him before.
I would have had a
does
good
work in
giggle.
strange ways.
Munsters was a comedy, but this is even better.
Yeah,
This is perfect.
The irony of it all. So.
Deliveries in rear. Are we a delivery?
We are a delivery.
Okay. Around the rear we go.
Definitely.
Oh my God, this is great. I'm so excited. This
Get around here and get backed up, and I'll get us some pallbearers to unload that car.
Yeah, this is a little different. This is a little different set than your typical job site. This is a little. Even though Herman worked at a funeral parlor, I should know all about this. And he was a box boy, and he went into the hole on a weekly basis.
All these hearses laying around is kind of a dead giveaway.
Oh, those the jokes they used to make about Herman working at a funeral parlor are so timeless. Okay, we're back. Got in late last night, and we'll call that day one, and this is day two. As you can see, I'm here with Richard, and we brought in the Dragula, the Eddie Chopper, but the reason we're here is obviously for the crown jewel of the Munster vehicles, the Munster Koach. And I gotta tell you, it's so, the irony of it, that Richard's in the funeral business, and Herman worked in a funeral parlor, and Mr. Gateman was like his boss. So, at first when I walked in, I thought, the first thing I saw, if you pan over here and look at this giant off-road, camouflage, military-looking thing, I go, well, I don't know if this is the type of build I'm looking for, because although it's beautiful in its own way, it certainly isn't the Munster Koach look I'm looking for. And then I panned over here. This is some of his work that he does, and now I went like, oh, okay, now I get it. We're in the right place to make the Koach look literally as nice as one of these cars. These are amazing vehicles, and this is what I was looking for.
We're so excited to have it and to be a part of this build and to continue our legacy of our coach building and to be able to build a Munster Koach. That's just an amazing opportunity, and we're so excited here in the shop and look forward to bringing you updates and more information as we build it and go. And the detail that this thing has is amazing. George Barris was an absolute genius in what he did. And
they didn't call him king of the customizers for nothing.
No, they didn't.
I was so lucky and so blessed as a kid that George would allow me to go down to his shop and hang around and poke around and see Sonny and Cher's Mustangs over there and Sinatra's Stutz over there and Elvis's Cadillac over there. And to think that now 60 years later, and George left us about 10 years ago, and we were close to the end, that I know he's looking down and smiling because he would have loved your shop, number one. He would have loved your passion. But more than that, he would have loved the fact that I'm going to wind up with one of his, he talks about the Batmobile, but I know George's favorite creation was the Munster Koach, and the Dragula was a close second. The Koach is actually a much simpler build, but luckily it's we're going after an old 60s build, before computers, before vacuum lines, all that shit. This is real simple stuff. But your stuff, you make it look simple, but it's not. Well, it's modern technology, but yet you have this old school look to it. It's all about black and white.
That's it.
You got it covered. That's like the Munsters. We're black and white. Thanks.
We've got a lot of detail we've got to put on it, and not even scratching the surface. But one of the cool things is the moto meter that's on it. These things, this particular model is very difficult to find and locate. Not going to talk about what they cost when you do find them. One of the other things that George Barris did a lot of was he was just down the street from Shelby Cobra. Barris's engines of choice were Ford, and he would go right down the street to Shelby and get Shelby parts. So you will see a lot of Cobra parts on the engine, oil pans, lots of different things that he used to like to do. Butch, we were just sitting here talking about all the neat things that George put on it. We were talking about the moto meter, the fuel injection system. Tell them about the fuel injection system on this.
Well, it's funny. George actually had 10 carburetors. He only actually hooked up, as I was told, 2 to make it run, because even though it was a very cool looking car, it was not the most dependable vehicle because the studio was only a mile away from his shop. So he, although it did run through the entire Macy's parade, so I mean it was somewhat of a dependable drivetrain, but it just wasn't really set up for everyday driving. Especially if it would overheat, which I think we're not going to have a problem with this because we got that. But what he did is he had 10 carburetors, or because I don't believe it was fuel injected. As I was told, it looked like it might have been fuel injected.
It had the fuely look.
It had the fuel injected look, but I believe it had 10 single carburetors. I don't even know, were they Strombergs?
Stromberg.
10 Strombergs, and I think he had 2. What we're going to do with this one is we are going to have the 10 carburetors, but we're going to make it a 6-pack. We're just going to make the middle 6 functional, which would be plenty of carburation. This is a very meaty. Oh, my phone's barking. Hold on. So we'll have to just let that. It's a very meaty engine. It's a 347 brand new crate motor by Jegs with it'll be pushing close to 500 horse, which is plenty of power. Very healthy. As you can see, the custom exhaust, everything on this car was done crazy. And then leave it to George to put 10 carburetors on an 8-cylinder. You don't know how many arguments I've had to settle with old timers looking at the car at a car show, trying to figure out why is it a 10-cylinder? Is it a 10-cylinder? Like, cut the exhaust pipes is a good start.
Yeah, definitely.
But anyway, yeah.
Even down to the alternator and a generator housing, just the details and things that I'm looking forward to discovering about the original and recreating on this. We've got a lot of amazing things to do.
Yeah, you had to remember this car's over 60 years old, and George was a master of going outside, thinking outside the box, no pun intended, but literally he would go down to the hardware store. He'd just walk the aisles and find stuff that caught his eye that looked cool, and he would take knobs and levers and handles and just apply them to stuff. I mean, of course he had his guys doing incredible shave work and chopping and this and that, but he would take everyday items and sometimes repurpose them, as you said, repurpose them into if you look at the Batmobile, there's a lot of stuff in there that came out of like Tom's hardware store.
Well, and it looks like yard sale stuff from 1960,
yeah, exactly.
and going back 60 years to yard sale stuff when it was old then, and to locate it, that is a real challenge to make the authenticity correct.
Yeah, who knows? If he was alive today, he'd be down at Dollar General and getting a sponsorship.
Genius.
We were so lucky to have George, and like I said, his creations, and he documented it so well that there's so much information out there that finding the parts, luckily I got a gentleman with a new company called PartSync that is going to be probably sponsoring us and helping us because he's got the technology and the software today to find the old stuff that used to have to go through the yellow pages. So hopefully we'll take technology and apply it to an old school build.
You and I met over a casual luncheon amongst friends, and I was going to business with some friends of mine over some business stuff, and one of them said, "Hey, do you mind if I bring this guy by the name of Butch Patrick?" And I'm like, "Butch Patrick? That name sounds familiar." And he's like, "Eddie Munster." I'm like, "Oh, heck yeah, it'd be crazy not to." So we had a great lunch, and I gave him the tour of our facility and where we're building coaches. And that's kind of where our conversations kicked off from there.
It's funny, the word casual lunch is, in Arkansas, one of the reasons I like it here so much, being from Los Angeles, is I don't think they have anything other than casual. This is like one of the most casual parts of the country you're ever gonna meet and ever gonna visit. So what happened was, how I wound up coming to Conway, Arkansas in the first place was a gentleman named, a mutual friend now, Keller Johnson, was a big pinball collector and an avid fan of TV and Dukes of Hazzard and the Munsters and Evel Knievel, all kinds of neat stuff. It's stuff we all love. So he was buying a new Munsters pinball machine, and I was at Dallas with the Stearns Pinball Company touring the pinball festival circuit with my Munster cars. Very fun, a lot of fun. Come on, how could you not enjoy that? And Keller invited me to come to Conway for Toad Suck Days, and I said to myself, "Oh, I got to see what this is all about." I don't get to Arkansas that often. Although when I was a kid, my grandmother loved the Ozarks, had property there, so I was familiar with it. I came to Toad Suck Days, met Keller. Keller's been inviting me to lunch with this gentleman, and we started talking about being fans of lots of similar things and love of cars and love of custom stuff. And one thing led to another that I had a build underway with my builder up in Missouri. And situations for him changed to where he couldn't complete the build as quickly as I would like it to be completed. So we came up with a solution. And the solution was to go pick up the coach and bring it down to Richard, who had shown interest in finishing it off anyway. Brandon was happy to hand it off and become a consultant and help us any way we can. So it was a win-win for everybody. And here we are.
Oh, absolutely. And I have this fascination for movie cars. And you know, when we first met, you took the shop tour. I was dragging out my movie cars out of my diecast collection. I was having him sign them. I think he's getting really irritated with me over it. But
and then it was funny when we went to pick up the car. The first thing he saw was the van from Men in Black that zap him, the cockroach van. And then he goes inside. I think we had 4 or 5 different Fast and Furious cars there. And then we had the big truck from Twisters, whatever, the Wrangler, the Tornado Wrangler truck.
From Arkansas, a content creator.
Yeah, Arkansas.
What a convenient coincidence that is.
So it's funny how life, I'm growing up in Los Angeles and doing the Munsters. I've been blessed to work in 12, 14 years in the business from 60 to 74. Great period working with George Barris. George Barris supplied us, with the Munster Koach, becoming friends with him. And through George, I met every big, famous, talented builder of all the custom cars. So this is great. George would be extremely happy with my coach landing here to be finished off, and the quality of his builds and the quality of what comes out of this shop is astounding. So I know that we found a good spot, and it's only 20 miles away. That's the best part.
Worked out perfect. Everything worked. Another thing that's fascinating about your journey and mine too, I was born and raised in the funeral business, and until I started building coaches and being more involved in the car company, I didn't realize what a big world there was, or how much people bond over automobiles. And it spans all the cultures, it spans all the caste system, anybody from any part of the United States. We have this common interest in automobiles, and it's so fascinating. That's what brought us together.
Yeah, and I was lucky enough, although I grew up in Los Angeles, my grandmother, who I mentioned earlier, her house in Missouri that I owned, I lived in the 5th grade in a little town called Geneseo, Illinois, about 5,000 people, so I was away from Hollywood for a year. Then I went to do the Munsters after that, and then after the Munsters, she had moved from Geneseo, Illinois to Macon, Missouri, and bought a big house. I moved back with her again. So at pivotal points in my life, I've always enjoyed Americana, and I've always enjoyed the Midwest and small town living, balanced out with city living. And it's funny that Conway and Morrilton in this area basically has that a small town Americana feel. I'm kind of a lean towards the South anyway. I'm living in Texas and Atlanta and Florida, but it has all the amenities that you need of a city, but it still has that feel, and I'm very comfortable here. So that's kind of one of the neat things about it, of how the world and the marketing and the spider webs, and everything reaches out, and you'll never know where you're going to wind up.
Network.
And this is a real good fit, and I'm very excited. And the neat part about it is we're going to be documenting as the thing develops, and every step of the way we'll be doing a YouTube channel and our YouTube shoot, and we'll keep you abreast of how it's going. And so far we've got the hard parts here. We've got it here. We got a rolling chassis, we got a drivetrain, we got the body, and now it's now we got to put everything together.
Definitely. And my guys, they can build anything. They're so excited to be a part of this and to have their hands on the history.
Yep, it's gonna be great. And the only thing is, we might have to change the new what is it? It's new classic coach. New classic coach, but we were gonna make it with a K because as a tribute to George, we need to put, the Munster Koach will always have a K, but I think we're gonna keep new classic with a C.
Yeah, we'll probably stick with it. Seeing how I've got it all registered. But yes, we evolved out of Rosewood Classic Coach, which was an evolution out of my Rosewood cremation and funeral business, where I started building these coaches at night as a hobby. While we took care of cremations and crematory. So it was real easy for me to use the same logo, the same phone number, the same address. Won't do that again, but now that we're New Classic Coach, it's cut down on all that confusion too.
Put that down. I want to walk over here. We're going to start over here, and then we're going to work our way this way.
Okay.
Follow me.
He knows what he's doing.
Grandpa's laboratory in the middle for 2. Herman and Lily up there. That's 4. 3 in the jump seat. That's 7. 2 in the coachman seat. So we have 9 people. Hard to find stuff for the Dragula build. Valve covers Mickey Thompson. The whole key is Mickey Thompson. Everything was Mickey Thompson back in the day. The stuff is like hen's teeth, super expensive, super hard to find. So we got another cross ram manifold. We have an Edelbrock, excellent name, excellent performance, good product. I know Cammie Edelbrock personally, she's wonderful. But if you want to be accurate, you got to have a Mickey Thompson. So we have a backup cab. Now those are pricey things right there. So we got our 4-speed, got our automatic in case we go, depending on which way we go. That's good. These big suckers, just to give you an idea, just to make a shifter for the Munster Koach is a chore. And we've got 2 of them. Now we got the bigs out of the way. Coach stuff. Luckily, there's a lot of documentation. Everybody loves the Munster Koach. It was a really neat addition to the Munster family. The guys, the producers knew that George hadn't done any TV cars yet. He was just doing private customs, had a shop, known for Mercuries. He started off doing Mercuries, and then in the 50s he did the B movies, a lot of the drive-in type movies with featured fast cars and sweater girls. And then he got into TV production, and he was a master strategist, and the Koach was one of his first cars. And I'm sure you probably have been a big fan and admired his work as everybody.
Oh, absolutely. I was born and raised in a funeral home. I remember eating Cheetos and watching the Munsters upstairs in the funeral home.
Orange fingers.
Orange fingers and all.
You know that you could tell the knobs. Back then, you didn't have a remote. You actually had to physically get up and turn the knob.
I was the remote.
And then, of course, you got the real Dragula out there. Well, my real Dragula. The real Dragula is in my car club, though. Remember Dead Man's Curve Car Club out of New Jersey? Hey, guys. And the number 1 Dragula and the number 3 Koach are there, which will come in extremely handy whenever we need any questions answered or photos. We have documentation. This car is going to come out just extremely accurate, and the neat part about it is because it's done today, that Jegs stroker motor in there, even though George had a Cobra, a 289 Cobra, it only had about 300 horse. This car is going to have about 500 horse. So watch out. It's going to get up and go. Maybe we may have accidentally built a wheel stander.
Yeah.
We never know. So anyway, parts. We picked up a bunch of stuff as we're going opening boxes. We got lots of carburetors because the Koach did have 10 carburetors on it. So I do believe we've got the 10 chrome ones, but I think we got 20 unchromed ones as well. So that's good. Anyway, as we open up, we got the Koach had the original phone long before cell. It had a TV. We got a couple of those. So we got good, and when we get around to the Dragula, we must have a Simpsons parachute. This is like one of the more unusual things. In these babies, the old radiator overheating
Motometer.
Is that what it's called?
Motometer.
The motometer. This is before you had the thing on the dashboard that would tell you you're overheating. This is the old school stuff. Very hard to come by. And I do believe we've got one like this, and then we've got one on the Koach. So we're good to go there. These are the type of things when you're building stuff and finding accuracy. As Brandon, who started the build and now has handed it off to us, the details, details. It's all about the details. And if you look at the Koaches that Richard builds, you'll see that he's very detail oriented, which is good. Steering wheel looks simple, looks easy. Try to go buy one of these babies. Impossible. And when you do find them, get your checkbook out to the tune of $1,000. Yeah, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna? You got to do what you got.
Want that authenticity.
You get so far into it sometimes that there's no turning back. You're like, oh my gosh, what have I done? But luckily, we got parts people all over the country. We got the part sync helping us out, and I'm actually gonna reach out to all the Munster fans and the people of the fan group. Take advantage of the people of the Munsters and love hot rods, and anytime we need help, we're going to reach out to you so you can be part of the build too.
If you've got any of this stuff laying around in your attic, please let us know. We're sure use it.
Yeah, the one thing we ask you is, like if you're looking for coffin handles, don't dig up a family member, please. We'll make them. No digging up Uncle Harry to make him part of the car.
You don't want us digging up old friends?
No. That's what he doesn't dig them up. He puts them in.
Repo special.
I can marry him. I can marry him. He can bury him. This is marry and bury.
Very buried. Eat, drink, and be buried.
So we got all the parts stuff handled. But yesterday when we came in, I noticed you introduced me to a couple of teams. So I wanted to bring a few things. Today when I showed up, there was 6 people, but we'll take care of the other 3. 3 Munster shirts. We got the Munsters with the Koach, green. We got the Munsters purple with 2 cars, the Dragula and the Koach. And then we got the Munsters in front of 1313 Mockingbird Lane, of course. So we want to have our guys looking
We got to look good.
We'll just put them out there and let them pick and choose.
That's it. That's awesome stuff. And tell us where we can buy more, because you know we're going to.
Okay, anybody want get a pen and paper because this is really hard to remember. Munsters.com. Okay.
That's spelled. That's M-U-N-S-T.
That's it. The only way to spell it.
Don't
Munster.
spell it with an O.
Yeah, or U. It's not Munster cheese. Munster. Anyway, thanks guys.